Hi, this is Tina with Cafe Crop, and I'm here to show you how to make these two really adorable little dogs using the Kiwi Lane Woodland Creatures template set. So we're going to make one of each of these dogs. I'll show you what templates I used and how I put them together. So let's start with this one. So they're just slightly different, other than the ears. They're made slightly different. We are using the Woodland Creatures number 2 for the head. We are using number 10 to make the ears. Our body and our feet, both sets of them, are from Woodland Creatures number 5. And our tail, we're using Woodland Creatures number 4. Now, what we're going to do different for this dog is we're going to use all of these, but we're also going to add Woodland Creatures number 9. We're just turning it upside down and using it here. So let me show you what we cut out. And I've gone ahead and I've traced them out here to show you exactly what we've done. So for our first dog, we need number 2, the head. We need one of those. We need 2 of number 5. So we technically need a full body, and then we really only need half of it. And I'll show you how I cut that apart. We're going to do the ears with number 10. And for the tail, I took it and I traced the outside edge here. And then using this first scallop, I made a dot, and then I moved this out. So actually I didn't make a dot, I just drew that first scallop so I knew where my ending point was. And then I traced that same curve so I have a nice cute little dog's tail. So again, put it here, trace the first scallop, and then move it out. Won't matter quite what this looks like when it's cut because this is going to be behind the dog's body. We're going to basically do the same thing for our other dog. We're going to use the same head. We're using the same ears, the same body, but for the other set of feet is where we're going to use that number 9 and trace that once. And for our nose, I drew it on here on the light paper, but I'm going to do it out of black, is I'm actually going to take the head, number 2, and let me just do that for you. I didn't know how well we would actually see it on the black, so I'm going to take it. I'm going to actually trace just up to like where the words are printed is really all you need to do. Because all we really need is to get the tip of the point part here in order to make the nose. Then we get to do a little bit of freehand, and all the noses are going to be a little bit different, and that's not going to matter. So I'm going to cut along the curve. And then really the point that I want is just right here in the center. So I'm just going to cut up. And then I find sometimes it's just as easy to flip it over to get kind of that same feel, depending on how you cut. And then just going to clip it off and get rid of our little scraps out of the way. And then I have the nose, and then I can trim that down. I think I need to take at least a bit off the top here and make it a bit smaller. Maybe I'll trim it up a little bit more there. You can, play with it and get the nose to look however you want, or you can make it a little bit wonky because every dog's nose is different. So we'll put that to the side because we'll need that later. So there is the diagram on the nose. So you're just going to do the point and cut it off on both sides. So let's go ahead and put them together. What I've done with my pieces, they're already cut and inked, so you didn't have to watch me do that. But I've also run them through an embossing folder just to give them some additional texture. So any embossing folder that you have that has like a small design will work perfect for this. I happen to use this one, which overall is a bigger design, but it looks great as, in a smaller context. And then one that has kind of a random dot and a distressed look to it, so it wasn't all perfect. So I'll just push these to the side so I don't lose any of those. And we will start with our dog with the floppy ear. We're going to take the base of the body, and the second body, I actually cut the top off of it. So we're just going to discard that, or you can save it if you like to save your scraps and use them for different things like I do. What I'm going to do next is actually glue this piece. We really just need to put glue into in the middle of it because we've got some trimming to do. We're going to glue the top of the body onto here. Kind of get it positioned wherever you like. Then we can turn it over and trim off the excess around the edges so that it matches up with the main body here. Now, I like pop dots. Anyone who's taken any classes with me knows I start with them telling people that I'm addicted to pop dots. So I'm actually going to use a pop dot to attach the head just to give it a little bit of a lift. And I'm using a thin pop dot. They're from Scrapbook Adhesives. They're my favorites. So now we have our body. I've got the tail. And you can see I trimmed off the scallop. I didn't add it back on, but it's not going to matter because it's just going to go right behind the body here. And then it's still not looking quite dog-like yet, but we need to add the ears. So this is the piece that we cut out for the ears from template number 10. But what I need to do here is cut these apart to actually make my ears. So I just follow the curve along and go from this center point down to the bottom point. And boom, ear number 1. And this one is pretty close. You just probably want to trim it up slight bit just to get that curve. And I'm going to add a little bit of ink to that piece that I just cut apart because I like the inky look. Now, ear number 1, I'm just going to attach to the side of the head. And you can make it come straight down or stick out as far as you want. Ear number 2 on this one, I did just a little curve. So you can just take it with your finger, curve it, or if you have like a pencil, or this is the lid to the glue, you can also curve it around that, depending on what kind of a curve or how floppy you want the ear. Now the first one, I stuck it here, but I think you could also stick it from behind if you wanted just a little bit different look. So we'll stick this one behind just because we can be different. And then that ear can fold over a bit. Now all we need to do is add our nose. So I find it easier with these little bits to actually put the glue right onto my paper. And again, just using a small dot of glue so it doesn't squish out all over, versus trying to put it on a little piece and then flip it over and ending up with it all over your hands instead. And we'll put the second eye on. I like to use the wiggle eyes because it just adds more character to your little creature. And so here is dog number 1. And moving on to dog number 2, we have our body of the dog. And we are going to take and attach our paws. So similar to what we did on the first one, we're going to glue this right on here, right near the top. You could have it a little bit down from the top of the body if you wanted. And again, this was piece number 9. And I'm going to, again, take that, turn it over, just cut around the edge of the original body. And I like to just, even though you probably won't see too much of it, add a little bit more ink. And I'm just using the Vintage Photo Distress ink. And we'll go for a pop dot, of course, because if I can use them somewhere, I do. Take the back off, add the head right onto our body, and I've already cut the ears apart on this, and we're just going to put some floppy ears on either side of the head. And you'll see one side's a little more pointed than the other. You can put either side up or down, just depending on how you're feeling that the dog's ears should go when you put them together. We've got our tail, again cut out from the Woodland Creatures tail, and in this case put it right on top, maybe that'll help. It's really just following the curve of the tail and going in one scallop and then tracing the edge again. So it's really easy to make the little tail without it having to do any kind of freehand. We'll get our nose added in, then we'll add our eyes, and we will have our dog put together. So it will take a little bit of time to trace and cut, and I always like to ink my pieces. I just think it adds more depth and character, but you certainly don't have to. You can use any color paper that you want, and we have our dogs completed. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and check back for more projects, creatures, cards, other projects that we keep posting on our YouTube channel.